Imagine this. The wind howls across an empty highway as the evening sky begins to dim. Leaves scatter, dancing along the cracked asphalt as a figure appears, a woman in her late 20s, clutching a worn bag of tools. Her name is Ellie, and today she's about to change her life and someone else's forever. Before we dive into the story of resilience, kindness, and unexpected rewards, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspirational tales. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what's coming next. Ellie was no stranger to hard work. She spent her days toiling under the hoods of old, battered cars in a small-town garage that was barely keeping its doors open. The tools in her bag were a reflection of her life, well used, functional, but far from glamorous. And yet, on this windy evening, fate had something extraordinary in store for her. As she jogged along the roadside, her sharp eyes caught sight of a stranded luxury car with its hazard lights flashing. Standing beside it was a sharply dressed man, frustration etched on his face as he paced back and forth, his phone pressed tightly to his ear. "Of all the days," he barked into the phone, his voice cutting through the wind. "No, I don't want excuses. The meeting starts in 30 minutes. Figure it out." His polished shoes and crisp navy suit screamed corporate elite. But in that moment, he looked completely out of his depth. Ellie hesitated for a moment. She wasn't sure if someone like him would even accept help from someone like her. But then again, she wasn't the type to walk away from someone in need. Taking a deep breath, Ellie called out, "Need some help?" Her voice was steady, but her heart raced. The man turned sharply, his piercing blue eyes narrowing as they landed on her. He looked her up and down, skepticism plain on his face. "Unless you're a mechanic," he started. But Ellie cut him off with a confident grin. "Actually, I am. Well, sort of. I work at a garage in town. Looks like your engine's giving you trouble. Mind if I take a look?" The man glanced at his watch, then back at Ellie. "Fine," he said, exhaling sharply. "If you can get it running in the next 20 minutes, I'll pay you whatever you want." Ellie smirked, dropping to her knees beside the car. "Let's see what we're dealing with first." As she popped the hood, steam billowed out, making her cough. The engine looked complicated, almost futuristic, but Ellie wasn't one to back down from a challenge. What followed was a whirlwind of skill and determination. Ellie worked quickly, identifying the problem and implementing a temporary fix that would get the car running long enough for the man to make it to his all-important meeting. But when he offered to pay her, Ellie surprised him by refusing. "Don't worry about it," she said, slinging her tool bag over her shoulder. "Consider it a favor." And just like that, she walked away, leaving the man staring after her in disbelief. What Ellie didn't know was that her simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events that would change her life in ways she could never have imagined. And what the man, Logan Price, a high-powered businessman, did next was even more unexpected. But before we get to that, remember, acts of kindness, no matter how small, have the power to ripple out and transform lives. Stick around to find out how this story unfolds. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying this so far. Let's keep going. Ellie's day had started like any other, filled with the familiar rhythm of tools clanging, engines sputtering, and the occasional burst of laughter from her coworkers. She never expected that a simple act of kindness would lead to something extraordinary. But Ellie had always believed in helping others without expecting anything in return. It was part of who she was. And that evening on the highway, her decision to stop and help a stranded motorist was about to set her life on an entirely new course. After convincing the man, Logan Price, to let her take a look under the hood, Ellie quickly got to work. The car's engine was a marvel of modern engineering, sleek yet intimidating, and its complexity didn't escape her trained eye. Still, Ellie's experience with cars of all kinds gave her the confidence to tackle the problem. Her hands moved deftly, inspecting the components until she pinpointed the issue, a leaking hose that was causing the engine to overheat. "Well, there's your problem," she said, grabbing a roll of duct tape and a small bottle of sealant from her bag. "This should hold for now, but you'll need to replace the hose as soon as possible." She worked efficiently, her movements practiced and precise. Logan, who had been pacing nearby, paused to watch her in action. For the first time that day, he seemed to relax, if only slightly. When she finished, Ellie stepped back and wiped her hands on her jeans. "All right, give it a try," she said, motioning toward the driver's seat. Logan hesitated for a moment before sliding behind the wheel. He turned the key, and the engine sputtered to life, roaring steadily after a brief cough. A wave of relief washed over him, and for the first time since their encounter, he managed a genuine smile. "You're a lifesaver," he said, stepping out of the car. "How much do I owe you?" Ellie shook her head. "Don't worry about it. You were in a bind. Consider it a favor." Logan stared at her, clearly taken aback. "A favor," he repeated. "You just saved me from potentially losing a multi-million-dollar deal. I can't let you walk away with nothing." Ellie shrugged, slinging her bag over her shoulder. "Multi-million? Huh? Sounds like you'll be just fine. Seriously, good luck with your meeting." She offered him a quick smile before turning to leave. Logan watched as she disappeared down the road, a mix of gratitude and disbelief washing over him. He had met countless people in his line of work, but few, if any, had shown him the kind of selflessness Ellie had displayed. As he climbed back into his car and drove off to his meeting, her confident smile and grease-streaked hands lingered in his mind. Ellie, on the other hand, didn't think much of the encounter. For her, it was just another day of solving problems and helping where she could. She returned to the garage, her focus shifting back to the endless stream of repairs that awaited her. But the following morning, as she wiped her hands on a rag and prepared to tackle yet another project, a sleek black SUV pulled into the lot. Her boss, Hank, called out to her. "Ellie, looks like you've got a visitor." Ellie glanced up, her brow furrowing as she recognized Logan stepping out of the vehicle. He was dressed just as sharply as the day before, but this time, his demeanor was different. He seemed calmer, almost excited. A second man, dressed in an equally tailored suit, followed him out of the car, carrying a leather briefcase. Logan approached with a warm smile. "Ellie," he said, "good to see you again." Ellie crossed her arms, her curiosity piqued. "Car breakdown already?" she teased. Logan laughed, shaking his head. "No, the car's fine. Thanks to you. I'm here for something else." He gestured to the man beside him. "This is my lawyer. We're here because I owe you something." Ellie blinked, confused. "Your lawyer? For what?" Logan's expression softened. "For changing my life yesterday. And now, I'd like to change yours." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Ellie's stomach twisted with a mix of anxiety and disbelief. "Change my life?" she repeated. "Listen, Mr. Price." "Logan," he corrected gently. "Logan," she said, her tone firm. "I just fixed a hose and tightened a belt. That's hardly life-changing." Logan chuckled, shaking his head. "You don't understand. If you hadn't stopped to help me, I would have missed a meeting that secured funding for a project I've been working on for 2 years. That project is worth millions. So yes, what you did was life-changing." Ellie shifted uncomfortably, unused to this level of attention. Before she could respond, Logan's lawyer stepped forward and opened the briefcase, revealing a stack of documents and a check. "This is a check for $50,000, Logan said. "Consider it a thank you. And there's more. I'd like to invest in your garage and make you part owner." Ellie's jaw dropped as her mind raced to process what was happening. She had stopped to help a stranger, expecting nothing in return. Now, that single act of kindness was opening doors she had never even dreamed of. Logan Price had always been a man of ambition. His career trajectory was a testament to his relentless drive and sharp instincts. But no amount of preparation could have readied him for the near disaster that awaited him on that fateful morning. Just hours before the meeting that could define his professional future, Logan found himself stranded on a desolate stretch of highway, his luxury car incapacitated by an overheating engine. The moments leading up to Ellie's arrival were riddled with tension and frustration. Logan paced alongside his car, phone pressed to his ear, his voice sharp as he directed his team remotely. The multimillion-dollar deal hinged on his presence. Yet as each minute ticked by, the possibility of failure loomed larger. It was a scene of desperation, made all the more unbearable by the biting wind and the irony of his predicament. A man with every resource at his disposal, rendered powerless by a faulty hose. Then Ellie appeared, her toolbag slung over her shoulder, and her confident stride cutting through the tension like a ray of sunlight piercing storm clouds. She assessed the situation with a calm expertise that immediately set her apart. Logan, initially skeptical, found himself placing his trust in her capable hands. Her confidence and determination created a sense of hope where there had been none. Ellie's makeshift repair was nothing short of a miracle. In mere minutes, she patched the engine and restored the car to working order. For Logan, it was more than just a mechanical fix, it was a lifeline. Her act of kindness, offered without expectation of payment or recognition, struck a chord with him. It wasn't just about getting to the meeting on time. It was about the reminder that even in moments of vulnerability, there are people willing to help without ulterior motives. Logan arrived at the meeting with mere seconds to spare. The boardroom was filled with stern faces, their expressions expectant. As he stepped in, the room quieted, and Logan launched into his presentation with a fervor fueled by relief and gratitude. The stakes were high, but Logan's meticulous preparation and his innate charisma carried the day. By the end of the meeting, the deal was sealed, securing the funding for a project that had been years in the making. It was a moment of triumph. And yet, as the room erupted into applause, Logan's mind kept wandering back to the woman who had made it possible. The significance of Ellie's intervention grew clearer with each passing hour. Logan's success was not just the result of his own efforts, but also a testament to the power of human connection. Her generosity reminded him of a time when he had been on the receiving end of kindness, a memory that had shaped his own journey. Determined to pay it forward, Logan resolved to find Ellie and express his gratitude in a way that truly honored her selflessness. The following day, Logan's polished SUV pulled into the garage where Ellie worked. It was a stark contrast to the modest surroundings. Yet Logan's demeanor was anything but imposing. He approached her with genuine warmth, his gratitude evident in every word. Ellie, initially surprised by his presence, listened intently as Logan recounted the impact of her actions. Her humility shone through as she dismissed her role as just doing what anyone would have done. But Logan knew better. Her willingness to help a stranger in need was not something to be taken for granted. It was a rarity in a world where transactional relationships often overshadow genuine connection. Logan's lawyer stepped forward, presenting Ellie with a check and a proposal that left her speechless. The gesture was more than a simple thank you. It was an acknowledgement of her character and an investment in her future. Ellie's initial reluctance to accept the offer was met with Logan's insistence. "This isn't just about the money," he explained. "It's about recognizing what you bring to the table, your skill, your determination, and your heart." The partnership agreement, which offered her a stake in the garage and the resources to elevate her business, was as much a testament to Logan's belief in her as it was to her own potential. As the garage underwent a transformation, so did Ellie's life. Logan's support extended beyond financial backing. He became a mentor and ally, sharing his insights and connections to help Ellie thrive. Their partnership blossomed into a friendship rooted in mutual respect and a shared vision for what the garage could become. For Logan, the experience was a revelation. Ellie's act of kindness had not only saved his deal but also reignited his faith in the goodness of people. Her influence extended beyond the garage walls, inspiring him to approach his own endeavors with renewed purpose. Together, they proved that even the smallest acts of generosity can ripple outward, creating opportunities and forging connections that transcend individual success. As months turned into years, Logan's career continued to flourish, bolstered by the lessons he had learned from Ellie. Her story became a cornerstone of his philosophy, a reminder that the most meaningful breaks in life often come from unexpected places. And for Ellie, Logan's belief in her transformed not only her business but also her sense of self-worth, empowering her to dream bigger and reach higher than she ever thought possible. Their journey was a testament to the power of reciprocity, where one act of kindness set the stage for a partnership that defied expectations and reshaped their lives in ways neither could have foreseen. Ellie returned to her garage the next day, feeling the warmth of satisfaction from helping Logan, but not expecting much more to come of it. The sound of tools clinking against metal and the faint smell of grease filled the air as she threw herself into her work. She didn't notice the sleek black SUV pulling into the lot until Hank, her boss, called out to her. "Ellie, you've got a visitor," he said, wiping his hands on a rag and nodding toward the approaching figure. Ellie straightened up, her brow furrowed as Logan stepped out of the vehicle. His polished shoes clicked against the concrete floor, and his presence was as commanding as ever, though this time, he carried a warmth in his smile. Behind him, another man in a tailored suit emerged, holding a leather briefcase that looked far too expensive for the modest surroundings. "You again?" Ellie teased, wiping her hands on her overalls. "Car breakdown already?" Logan laughed, shaking his head. "Not quite. The car's fine. Thanks to you. I'm here for something else." Before she could respond, Logan gestured to the man beside him. "This is my lawyer. We're here because I owe you something." Ellie's smile faded into confusion. "Your lawyer? For what?" Logan's expression grew serious but kind. "For changing my life yesterday. And now, I'd like to change yours." Ellie blinked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. "Change my life?" "Logan, I just fixed your car. That's hardly life-changing." Logan's lawyer stepped forward, opening the briefcase to reveal a stack of documents and, shockingly, a check. "Regardless of your intentions," Logan said, "I want to make sure your kindness doesn't go unnoticed. This is a check for $50,000. Consider it a thank you." Ellie's jaw dropped. $50,000? Are you serious? Logan nodded. "Completely." She stared at the check, her heart racing. That's too much. I can't accept that." Logan's tone was firm but kind. "You can, and you will. But that's not all." Ellie's head spun. "Not all?" Logan gestured to the documents. "I did some digging. You're talented, hardworking, and, from what I hear, you've been keeping this garage afloat almost single-handedly. I also found out it's been struggling financially." Her stomach twisted. "How do you know about that?" "I have resources," Logan said with a shrug. "And when someone like you goes out of their way to help a stranger, I believe it's worth investing in them." He pointed to the papers. "These are partnership agreements. I want to buy into this garage and make you part owner. You'll have access to more tools, better equipment, and the freedom to take on bigger projects." Ellie took a step back, her hands shaking. "This is insane. You don't even know me." Logan tilted his head, his expression softening. "I know enough. I know you could have kept walking yesterday. You could have charged me a fortune knowing I was desperate. But you didn't. You chose to help. No strings attached. The world needs more people like you, and I want to see you succeed." Ellie's mind raced. Her whole life had been a series of uphill battles, struggling to keep the garage open, barely scraping by. And now, out of nowhere, this man was offering her a way out, a chance to breathe. She swallowed hard, tears threatening to spill. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Logan smiled. "Because someone once did the same for me when I was at rock bottom. Now I'm paying it forward." Overwhelmed, Ellie stared at the documents. Every instinct told her this was too good to be true, but the sincerity in Logan's eyes made her pause. She had spent years giving her all to this garage, pouring her heart and soul into every repair, every customer interaction, and now, someone was finally recognizing that. "Okay," she said, her voice shaky but resolute. "Let's do this." Logan's smile widened. "You won't regret it." In the weeks that followed, the garage underwent a transformation. New tools and equipment arrived. Walls were painted, and the once struggling business began to thrive. Customers poured in, drawn by the buzz surrounding the garage's revival. Ellie found herself busier than ever, but for the first time, she didn't feel overwhelmed. She felt empowered. Logan remained a steady presence, checking in regularly to see how things were going. He offered advice, introduced her to new clients, and even helped her brainstorm ways to expand the business. Despite his wealth and status, he treated Ellie as an equal, valuing her expertise and insights. One evening, As the sun dipped below the horizon, Ellie stood outside the garage, surveying the changes. The once dilapidated building now gleamed under the glow of the streetlights, a symbol of how far she had come. Logan pulled up in his SUV and stepped out, his expression warm. "How's it going?" he asked, leaning casually against the car. Ellie smiled. "Better than I ever could have imagined." "Thank you, Logan, for everything." He shook his head. "You don't have to thank me. You earned this." As they stood there, a comfortable silence settled between them. For the first time in years, Ellie felt a sense of hope and possibility. The future was no longer a daunting unknown, but a canvas waiting to be painted. Months passed, and the once small garage Ellie called home began its remarkable transformation. What was once a humble, struggling operation was now buzzing with activity, new equipment, and a steady flow of loyal customers. From the outside, the changes were obvious. Fresh paint on the walls, a modern sign proudly displaying the garage's new name, and an expanded parking lot filled with cars waiting for repairs. Inside, however, the transformation was even more profound, one that spoke not just of tools and tech, but of Ellie's evolving identity. Ellie stepped into her newly renovated office, the scent of polished wood and fresh paper wafting through the air. The sleek leather chair beneath her felt surreal compared to the rickety stool she used to sit on while balancing finances late at night. Her desk, once a makeshift plank propped up on crates, now held an organized array of schedules, invoices, and plans for the next big phase of her business. But what stood out most was a framed photo on the corner, a snapshot of her and Logan, both grinning beside the black car that started it all. Beneath the image, a small plaque read, "Kindness creates opportunity." Ellie had embraced the whirlwind of opportunities Logan's partnership brought her way. She had not only updated the equipment and hired skilled staff, but also introduced new services that brought in customers from miles away. Her garage became known for its innovative solutions, like using AI diagnostics to pinpoint issues faster or offering eco-friendly repair options that reduced waste. What had started as a desperate struggle to stay afloat had turned into a beacon of progress, ingenuity, and community support. One morning, Ellie arrived early, unlocking the garage to the crisp morning air and the golden hues of sunrise. As she turned on the lights, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from Logan. "Big day today. Proud of you." She smiled, typing back a quick reply. "Wouldn't have gotten here without your push." The big day Logan referred to was a workshop Ellie had organized for aspiring young mechanics. She had long dreamed of giving back to the community. And now, with the resources and connections she had gained, she was finally in a position to make it happen. The garage was soon filled with eager participants, mostly young women, who wanted to learn the skills Ellie had honed over years of perseverance. Seeing their enthusiasm reminded her of her younger self, the girl who had to teach herself everything with borrowed tools and sheer determination. As Ellie demonstrated how to replace a car's timing belt, she caught sight of Logan standing at the back of the crowd, watching her with a proud smile. After the session ended and the participants left with their certificates and toolkits, Logan approached her, clapping slowly. "That was impressive," he said, his tone sincere. "You're changing lives." Ellie wiped her hands on a rack, her face glowing with equal parts pride and exhaustion. "I'm just trying to pay it forward," she said, echoing the words Logan had once told her. But it wasn't just the garage that was transforming. Ellie herself had undergone a profound change. The confidence she exuded wasn't just a facade anymore. It was deeply rooted in the realization that she was capable of far more than she had ever given herself credit for. She had gone from a mechanic scraping by to a business owner, a mentor, and a leader in her community. Her journey was now inspiring others, and she felt a deep sense of fulfillment she hadn't known was possible. Yet, even with all the success and accolades, Ellie remained grounded. She continued to work alongside her team, getting her hands dirty and solving problems with the same determination that had carried her through the tough times. And every so often, she would take a quiet moment to herself, standing in the now bustling garage and marveling at how far she had come. One evening, after the garage had closed and the staff had gone home, Ellie sat in her office, poring over plans for a second location. The idea still felt like a distant dream, but Logan's unwavering faith in her had given her the courage to aim higher. As she traced the outline of the proposed site on the blueprint, she heard a familiar voice at the door. "Still burning the midnight oil?" Logan asked, leaning casually against the frame. Ellie looked up, a wry smile tugging at her lips. "You're one to talk. Aren't you supposed to be the big-shot investor with a packed schedule?" Logan chuckled, stepping inside and taking a seat across from her. "True, but I'd argue this is just as important. What's the plan for the new place?" Ellie hesitated, pushing the blueprint toward him. "It's ambitious," she admitted, "but I think we can pull it off." Logan studied the plans, nodding thoughtfully. "Ambitious is good. It's what got you here, isn't it?" Ellie leaned back in her chair, exhaling deeply. "Sometimes I still can't believe it. A year ago, I was barely making rent. Now, we're talking about expansions and partnerships. It's surreal." Logan met her gaze, his expression serious. "You earned this, Ellie, every bit of it. And don't forget, this is just the beginning." His words resonated deeply, and as Ellie looked around the office, she realized he was right. The garage was more than a business now. It was a symbol of what she could achieve when she believed in herself. It was proof that kindness, hard work, and a little bit of trust could transform not just a career but an entire life. As Logan stood to leave, he paused by the door. "One more thing," he said, turning back to her. "You might want to clear your calendar for next month. There's a business summit in the city, and I think it's time the world met the woman behind this success story." Ellie laughed, shaking her head. "You're relentless." Logan grinned. "You'll thank me later." As the door clicked shut behind him, Ellie stared at the blueprint on her desk, her mind racing with possibilities. The transformation wasn't over, not for the garage, not for her, and not for the lives she was determined to impact. She picked up a pen, made a small adjustment to the plans, and smiled. The best was yet to come. The day of the grand opening was bright and filled with a buzz that Ellie had never experienced before. Rows of people lined up outside her newly renovated garage, eager to witness the transformation she had brought to the small-town community. Balloons of every color floated above, tied to posts and cars, while a local band played a cheerful tune in the background. The air smelled of grilled food and fresh paint, combining the celebratory spirit with the tangible mark of hard work and renewal. Ellie stood near the entrance, greeting visitors with a wide smile, her heart pounding in a mix of excitement and disbelief. Just a year ago, this dream had seemed impossible. Her garage had been a modest operation, struggling to make ends meet. Now, it was a thriving hub equipped with the latest tools, a dedicated team, and a growing reputation for excellence. At the center of it all stood Logan, leaning casually against his sleek SUV, observing the scene with a sense of pride. He caught Ellie's eye and gave her a small nod, which she returned with a grin. Logan's investment had sparked this journey, but his belief in her abilities had been the true catalyst. As the event continued, Ellie took the stage to thank everyone who had supported her. The microphone in her hand trembled slightly as she looked out at the crowd, a mix of friends, family, and strangers who had become part of her story. "A year ago," Ellie began, her voice steady despite the emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "I never could have imagined standing here today. This garage was more than just a place to work. It was my lifeline. It was my dream. And thanks to all of you, especially Logan, it's become something so much bigger." The crowd erupted in applause, and Ellie took a moment to compose herself before continuing. "This isn't just a celebration of a new beginning for me. It's a reminder that kindness and hard work can lead to opportunities we never see coming. When I stopped to help a stranger on the side of the road, I wasn't looking for anything in return, but that one act of kindness changed my life." Logan's eyes softened as he listened. He had been a part of many successful ventures, but this one felt personal in a way he hadn't expected. Helping Ellie had reminded him of his own humble beginnings and the people who had lifted him up when he needed it most. After her speech, Ellie mingled with the crowd, shaking hands and sharing stories. Many young women approached her, inspired by her journey and eager to learn from her. Ellie found herself encouraging them to chase their dreams, offering tips and even inviting some to visit the garage for mentorship opportunities. The day wound down with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Logan handed Ellie a pair of oversized scissors, and together, they cut the bright red ribbon stretched across the entrance. The crowd cheered, and Ellie felt a surge of pride and gratitude. As the guests began to leave, Logan approached Ellie, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "To new beginnings," he said, handing her a glass. Ellie raised her glass, her smile radiant. "And to the people who make them possible." They clinked glasses, the sound ringing out like a promise. For the first time in years, Ellie felt not just hopeful but certain about her future. She looked around at the garage, the people, and finally, at Logan. Everything had changed, but in the best way possible. Later that evening, as the last of the guests left, Ellie sat on the steps of the garage, her feet aching but her heart full. Logan joined her, the two of them sitting in companionable silence. "You've done something incredible here," Logan said, breaking the quiet. "This place isn't just a garage anymore. It's a beacon." Ellie laughed softly, leaning back on her hands. "A beacon? That's a bit dramatic, don't you think?" "Not at all," Logan replied, his tone serious. "You've inspired people, Ellie. You've shown them what's possible when you believe in yourself and take a chance." She looked at him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you." Logan shook his head. "You did the hard part. I just gave you the tools." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The night was quiet, the stars above shining brightly. Ellie felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. "So, what's next?" Logan asked, his voice light but curious. Ellie smiled, the possibilities stretching out before her. "There's always more to do, more to build, more to learn. But for now, I think I'll just enjoy this moment." Logan nodded, raising his glass again, to enjoying the moment. As they sat there, Ellie realized that her journey wasn't just about the garage or the success it had brought. It was about the people she had met, the lessons she had learned, and the courage it had taken to embrace the unknown. This was just the beginning of something even greater, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Ellie's journey from a struggling mechanic to a thriving business owner and community leader is a testament to how a single act of kindness can spark a ripple effect of transformative change. Her story not only captures the power of generosity, but also highlights the incredible potential each of us has to create meaningful impact in the lives of others. As the applause filled the grand opening venue, Ellie stood on stage, her heart full of gratitude and pride. The people around her, friends, family, staff, and even new faces from the community, were all part of this incredible milestone. Looking out at the crowd, Ellie realized how far she'd come and how much she'd learned. She addressed the audience with a heartfelt speech. "This garage started as a dream, a small, flickering hope that I could make a difference with the skills I had. I never imagined it would become what it is today. But more than the tools, the cars, or even the success, this journey has been about the people. Each of you, in your own way, has been a part of this story, and for that, I am eternally grateful." Ellie paused, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on Logan. His presence was a reminder of how much one person's belief could change everything. Sometimes, life gives you an opportunity to grow in ways you never expected. Logan's faith in me, in this garage, and in what we could build together, was the push I needed to dream bigger. To anyone out there who has a dream, don't be afraid to take that leap. You might be surprised by what you're capable of. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, and Ellie couldn't help but smile as tears of joy welled in her eyes. The event continued with mingling, laughter, and heartfelt conversations, each moment a celebration of perseverance and community spirit. As the night wound down, Logan found Ellie standing outside the garage, gazing up at the neon sign that now proudly displayed her name. "Pretty surreal, huh?" he said, joining her. Ellie nodded. "I never thought I'd see my name up there. It feels like the beginning of something even bigger." Logan smiled, his hands casually in his pockets. "It is, and I have no doubt you'll keep surprising yourself and everyone else." Ellie turned to him, her voice filled with sincerity. "Thank you, Logan, for everything." not just for the money or the resources, but for believing in me when I couldn't see it myself. Ellie, you earned this. Logan replied. All I did was help you see what was already there. Their exchange captured the essence of the journey they'd both embarked on, one rooted in trust, hope, and the willingness to uplift one another. A call to action. Ellie's story is more than just an inspiring tale. It's a reminder to all of us that change starts with small, intentional acts. As viewers, you might be wondering, how can I make an impact in my own life or in someone else's? Here's a challenge for you. Find one way this week to help someone, no matter how small it seems. Whether it's offering a helping hand, sharing words of encouragement, or simply being there for someone in need. Your actions could mean the world to them. Remember, kindness is contagious, and its effects can ripple far beyond what you see. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with friends and family. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to light and keeps this community of positivity growing. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What's one act of kindness that has changed your life or someone else's? Let us know. Your story might just inspire others. Finally, if you want to support our work further, consider joining our Patreon community. Together, we can continue sharing stories that matter and creating a space where everyone feels empowered to dream big and give back. Thank you for watching. And remember, every big journey starts with a single step, or, in Ellie's case, a single repair. Keep believing, keep striving, and keep being the change you wish to see in the world. See you in the next video.